Good morning, welcome to Fairy and Spoilt. I want to talk to you today about a dog's energy levels and how much food they need. So I've been putting up a lot of videos lately on here talking about my homemade dog food. And when I'm talking about it, I tell you how much I give per dog. But if a dog has got a different energy level, that could be altered. So I've got my Harry here. He weighs 12 kilos. I've got my little Albert here. He weighs 8 kilos, and then I don't know where Humps is, but I've got a Humps and he weighs 15 kilos. But I feed Albert here the most amount of food. So even though he is 8 kilos and Humps is 15 kilos, I feed Albert more than I feed Humps. And that's because Albert is really, he is a lot more energetic. Now, I don't mean when we were at home, and if you watch my channel a lot, you will basically just see Albert sleeping all the time. But when we're out walking, he's really energetic. He's very excited to be out. He loves running up to people, dogs. He's just very, very excited about the whole thing. And so he uses a whole load more energy. Whereas Harry and Humps, I don't know where Humps is. Humps! Humps! I think he's around the other side of the sofa. But they're not. They're very relaxed. They plod along on their walk. And yeah, they do run around and stuff, but it's so much more relaxed. It's not high energy like it is Albert. So how I get around this is, so I recommend when you're using homemade dog food, and remember it's different than if you're feeding a dog like kibble or pouch food, because especially pouch wet food, because there's so much water in it. So it's very different when you're feeding homemade food, because it's just real pure food. You don't need to feed as much. And so so for each 10 kilogram of dog, I feed 210 grams of meat or fish and 90 grams of fruit and vegetables. And for Harry here and for Humps, that ratio works out fabulous. But if I had Albert on that ratio, he would be too thin. And so what I do is, well, look at him. You always look homeless, my darling. What I do with Albert is I feed him like the normal food, and then I give him 2 extra spoonfuls of meat. So I use like a big spoon when I'm serving out their food, oh, here's Humps, not like a huge spoon, just like a dessert spoon, and I just give him an extra couple of spoons. And then if at any point I think he's getting a little bit too thin or a little bit too fat, I adjust it. And that's what you have to do. And it's, you might think to yourself, so you look at him, I don't know if you can see it, but he's quite small. Then we've got Humps here. He's quite a big boy. He's like nearly double the amount of weight. Because he doesn't use a lot of energy, he doesn't need as much food. I did a video, and I'll put it up in a minute, about how over the years, I've learnt ways of knowing if I'm feeding my dog too much or too little. I think it's really, really important, because the thought of a hungry dog, that's just awful if you have a dog that's hungry. Wouldn't it be awful, Humps, if you were hungry? You wouldn't like to be hungry, would you, my darling? You wouldn't like it, no you wouldn't. They're very tired. We've had quite a busy weekend. They're very tired, aren't you, sweetheart? You need to lie down and have a sleep, don't you, sweetheart? You do. So I just wanted to make that point, that you could be feeding what I've recommended and your dog could be getting a little bit thin. You absolutely don't want that. So it's perfectly okay to just add some spoons to it and play around with it a bit until you get your dog to the right point. I'll put the video up. Like I said, over the years I've learned all the different signs to know if a dog's not got enough food or has got too much. And when you first start with homemade food, it might be a little bit of a guessing game. But I've helped a lot of dogs with this, and I've found the ratio, like I said, I'll just say it again. So for every 10 kilogram of dog, 210 grams of meat and fish, and 90 grams of fruit and vegetables. Now, this is throwing people, and I understand that. If any part of what I talk about, whether it be the actual how much food to feed them, whether it be the supplement amount, just ask me. My my past career was banking. So I was deputy bank manager, and so maths is my thing. And so if it's confusing you in any way, don't hesitate. Just ask me. I'll work it out for you. because it's important that we get these little creatures all fed correctly. Isn't it, darling? It is. Right, that's all I've got to say on the matter today. And maybe some of you, especially if you're new to dog ownership, you might not be sure whether you've got a high energy dog or a low energy dog. You might not know what that is. And it can be confusing because, I mean, if you look at Albert, that's pretty much what he does all day. So you would think, oh no, he's really, really low energy. But he isn't. Out on walks, he is so much more energetic than you, isn't he? You just sort of plod along, don't you? Yeah, sniffing along. Whereas Albert's just crazy running around all over the place. Gorgeous boy. Right, we're going to go. You know where I am, TikTok and Instagram if you need anything. I am working on the list of this, in the description, I'm working on the list of things that I use for my dogs. And if you've got any questions or anything at all you want to ask, just pop them into comments. Are you falling asleep, my darling? All right, then we're going to go. We will see you in the next video. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.